Jananam sukadham maranam karunam milanam maduram smaranam karunam kalavashadiha sakalam karunam samayadhipate akilam karunam. Good evening, everyone. Me being Indian, I call this an evening. I see you still refer to this as afternoon. So, Paul was mentioning about Indian studies. Even for academic purposes, I would say you cannot study what you are referring to as India. I'm not talking about India as a nation, but India as an ethos, what it represents. It's not something that you could study. At the least, you have to soak it in. At the best, you have to dissolve into it. There is no other way to know it. Because it does not represent any particular ideology, it does not represent any particular belief system, it is not a scripture, it is not a particular god. It is a complex amalgamation of a million different doorways through which a human being can attain to his ultimate potential. This is what always the land that was referred to as Bharat has always represented to the world. The political entity of India is a different situation right now, that's different. But this is what it represents. Let me, in a limited time, you can't explore India. But as I said, you could soak it in. It's not something that you understand, it is not something that you grasp. It is just that you have to soak it in, like you breathe. It is not because you understand that you have to take in oxygen and leave out carbon dioxide, your breath is happening. That is just the understanding is a consequence, not the reason why you're breathing. Similarly, this is just like that, because as inhaling oxygen and letting out what we don't want is a certain level of life process. What we're referring to as India is another level of life process. You have to just breathe it in and soak it in. If every cell in your body doesn't take the oxygen, this won't live. It is just like that. If everything within you doesn't take another dimension of life into you, another dimension of life will not be alive in you. Only the physical, the psychological and the emotional will be alive. One will even deny that anything else exists because this is the nature of human experience. Whatever is not in your experience doesn't exist for you. Right now, I don't intend to insult the people who are up there, but right now, let's say right up there's a big gorilla sitting there, just about to pounce on you. You are not aware of it, it does not exist for you. Even if a dinosaur is sitting there, if you are not aware of it, it doesn't exist for you. Similarly, anything that we are not conscious of, it doesn't matter how big a dimension it is, how fundamental a dimension it is, if we are not conscious of it, it will not exist for us in our experience. Our life is essentially what we perceive. And what we perceive right now is fundamentally limited to the five sense organs. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch. This is the life that you know. This is the world that you know. This is the universe which is in your experience. You could believe other things, but they are not a living reality for you. Belief systems can become very strong. What you believe in can become more real than the real in your experience, but that is purely a psychological experience, what you believe in. And if you work hard enough on you, we can make you believe in just about anything. You know that. Right from the day you were born, if I went on telling you, my little finger is God, if I raise this little finger, divine emotions will overflow within you, genuinely, not pretentious. If it is too bad for you, I can dress it up. Just we have to decorate it a little bit, then you were willing to believe anything if you are worked upon hard enough, isn't it? So what we believe in is of cultural significance, of geographical significance for certain areas of the world, but it is of no existential consequence. You can believe whatever you want. He was just saying, we have a center in Tennessee. I was speaking in Nashville a few years ago. I was just telling them a joke. In the joke, I referred to God as Him. Immediately a few ladies stood up, said, "Do you believe God is a man?" Whoa, whoa, whoa. I know where it's going. I was only telling you a joke. It doesn't matter, you said Him. Do you believe God is a man? I said, I was only telling you a joke. It doesn't matter. So now there is an argument going around in certain parts of America. Is God a man or a woman? In India, we have no such problems. We have a man god, we have a woman god, we have a cow god, we have an elephant god, we have a monkey, we have a snake, we have flying ones, crawling ones, creeping ones, every kind. Because it's a very wise culture, we foresaw all the future problems that may arise. Who knows? Idi Amin, you heard of Idi Amin, the Uganda man? Idi Amin declared, God is black. I agree with him. If a white man can have a white God, why can't a black man have a black God? This also is a big debate in some of the southern churches. Is God white or black? You've been trying to settle it with elections, but you people do not know whether God is white or black. In India, we know God is brown. Because, God never visited other parts of the world, He only sent His son or messengers. In India, God Himself landed 9 times, you know this? You know, 9 avatars. He landed in India Himself 9 times. Always Indians are very proud of this. To other parts, He sent His son, messenger, whatever. But to India, He Himself came. I keep reminding them, that is because He wanted to do the job hands-on with the Indians. He wouldn't trust His son or messenger. And He came 9 times and failed. Indians are not easy people. They're not easy, not difficult, because they don't have a particular belief to hang on to. For everything they have an argument. You can talk like this, you can talk like this, you can talk from whichever direction. This is not out of confusion, this is because this land opened up a million possibilities. There's no particular way to do it. I think one person who paid the best possible tribute to India was when Mark Twain visited India and spent almost 3 months or so. He said, anything that can ever be done by either by God or man has been done in this land. Now, this is not about a particular geography, this is not about a particular people. When you say East, you're talking about a certain kind of consciousness. There could be Eastern people here, there could be Western people there. Today, East has become synonymous with consciousness, West has become synonymous with material success. Should these two things be opposing each other? Not at all. Evolving human consciousness and living successfully in the world can go together and always been together. You must understand, just about 225 years ago, India was the largest economy on the planet. It amounted for almost 1/3 of the world's economy. For political and other reasons, things have gone bad, that's a different thing. But I'm saying consciousness and living well on the outside need not clash with each other. It has nothing to do with each other. How you're outside and how you're within yourself are not connected. So how you're outside, I will leave it to you. How you want to be on the outside, I will leave it to you. But how you want to be on the inside, if you are given a choice, how you want to be within yourself, would you like to be pleasant or unpleasant? I want to hear that. Okay. Now that you want to be pleasant, what is pleasantness? If you become pleasant in your body, we call this health. If you become very pleasant, we call it pleasure. If you become pleasant in your mind, we call this peace. If you become very pleasant, we call it joy. If you become pleasant in your emotion, we call this love. If you become very pleasant, we call it compassion. If you become pleasant in your very life energies, we call this bliss. If you become very pleasant, we call it ecstasy. This is what you want within yourself, isn't it? No, I'm not interested in all this, I want to go to heaven. Why? Because the advertisements have always said that heaven is a very pleasant place. If from your birth they had told you, God lives in heaven but it's a horrendous place, do you want to go there? No, we will pray from here. We don't want to go there. So whatever you may be doing, whether you go to the temple or to the bar, you're still seeking pleasantness, isn't it? Yes or no? Hello? If your surroundings become pleasant, we call this success. So in what way surroundings being pleasant are opposed to inner pleasantness? Definitely not, they're not against each other. They go very well together. There is no need for people to think, if I have to be pleasant in the inward, I have to… See, generally this impression is come into the world that if you are spiritual, how you determine whether you're spiritual or not is, you don't eat well, you don't dress well, you don't live well, that means you're spiritual. If you do everything badly, you must be spiritual. This image has come because they saw a yogi somewhere sitting blissed out. He never bothered about his clothes, clothes fell apart, and he sat there probably naked, blissed out, simply because he was not concerned, not because he chose to be like that. But now looking at him, lot of people are choosing to be like that. You are just aping him, you're not going to become like him. This happened in 1924. There was a bishop in the Greek Orthodox denomination. Greek Orthodox denominations, generally they believe they are the only real Christians, rest are not. They have their own pope in Istanbul. Istanbul being on the Silk Route, exotic stories from India waft across the Bosphorus very often. So for centuries, these stories have been coming and this person has been longing to go to India and see for himself. He genuinely wants to meet a mystic or a yogi. But being a man of cloth, he could not choose to go. After he was 60, when he was semi-retired, he made it to India and someone took him down to South India. In southern India, when he inquired, somebody told him, you go up this mountain, there is a yogi, he will fulfill the prescription for you, what you're looking for. So our man went up the mountain and as they had indicated, there was a man, a yogi sitting there, eyes closed, blissed out. So he went and they had told him, if you see a yogi, you must prostrate. But he was not built for that. But managed to go down, scraping himself, making noises. Then hearing all this commotion, the yogi opened his eyes and looked and smiled. So immediately the bishop asked, can I ask you a question? The yogi said, by all means. Now the bishop asked a profound question of his life. What is life? This is after 60. You should have asked this question at 8 or at least at 16. What is life? After 60, not bad, you're asking some time in your life. The yogi smiled, went into raptures and said, life is like the fragrance of jasmine upon the gentle spring breeze. The bishop looked at him and said, what? Life? Fragrance of jasmine upon the gentle spring breeze? Our teacher told us, life is like a thorn. Once it gets into you, if you sit down it hurts, if you stand up it hurts, if you lie down it hurts. You're saying it is fragrance of jasmine upon gentle spring breeze? The yogi looked at him and said, well, that's his life. Essentially, the experience of life is caused from within. Pain and pleasure happens from within you. Joy and misery happens from within you. Agony and ecstasy happens from within you. Even light and darkness happens from within you. What is light for you is darkness for some other creature, isn't it? What is darkness for them is light for you. It is the way you're responding to the whole thing that it happens to you. So if everything is caused from within you, you're not convinced about this. Okay, do you see me? Yes. It's a question. Yes. Do you see me? Yes. Yes. Use your hands and point out, where am I? Ah, you got it wrong. You know, I'm a mystic from South India. Now this light is falling upon me, reflecting, going through your lenses, inverted image in the retina. Do you know the whole story? So where do you see me right now? Within yourself. Where do you hear me right now? Within yourself. Where have you seen the whole world? Within yourself. Have you experienced anything outside of yourself? Have you? Nothing has ever happened to you outside of yourself. The whole universe has happened only within yourself. The way it happens within you is the way you know it. You don't know it the way it is. You only know it the way it happens within you. It is all caused from within. At least what is happening from within you must happen the way you want it, isn't it? What is happening around you, there are too many people involved. What's happening within you, 100% must happen the way you want it. Your joy and misery, if there is a choice, what's the choice? Your agony and ecstasy, if there is a choice, what is the choice? Pleasantness is the choice, isn't it? So why is it so much unpleasantness is happening in human experience? Because we never took charge of the inner dimension. We believe by fixing the outside, everything is going to be okay. In the last 150 years, with the advent of science and modern technology, we have fixed too many things on the outside. If you fix any more, there won't be a planet left. Yes? Definitely this has brought much convenience and comfort to our lives. In every way, we are the most comfortable generation ever. You agree with me? I know you have series of complaints about how things are not okay, but we are the most comfortable generation ever before on this planet, isn't it so? But we cannot say we are the most joyful generation on the planet, we are the most loving generation on the planet, we are the most blissed out generation on the planet, definitely not. We are complaining like crazy about everything, like never before. This is because we fixed the outside. Comfort and convenience has happened, well-being has not happened. If your interiority was handled by you consciously, you would definitely keep this in a blissful state. So is bliss the goal of life? No. Bliss is a necessary condition for life to flower to its full potential, otherwise it will remain constrained. See, if I happen to meet you when you're very happy, I'm sure you're a wonderful person. Yes or no? But if I happen to meet you when you're frustrated, angry, miserable, you could be a nasty person, isn't it? Yes or no? Is this a fact for everybody? You know, about 20% of our time, resource and energies are spent in the prisons in India, and we also attempted something here in the United States. Now, our programs are mandatory in all the South Indian prisons. People keep telling me, Sadhguru, why are you spending so much time with these criminals? We don't even get to see you, but you're spending time in the prison. I don't see any criminals. What I see is, everybody is in pursuit of their happiness. The man whom you call as a criminal is pursuing his happiness far more vigorously than you. Yes. In pursuit of your happiness, you're willing to stand in a line and get what you want. His longing for his happiness is so high and vigorous, he jumps the line. That's all he's doing, isn't it? Yes or no? The only thing that he is doing is he's jumping the line. What you are willing to wait in the line and get at the end of the month, he wants to grab it in 2 minutes. That makes him a criminal, isn't it? But if you take this further back, if you're in pursuit of happiness, I'm sorry, this is in the Constitution. If you're in pursuit of happiness, you're already a criminal because the moment you're in pursuit of happiness, suppose you're pursuing your happiness this way and I'm pursuing my happiness this way, if both of us meet, out of civility, out of etiquette, you will tell me, please, I will not budge. Then you will like to gently push me and go. I will not budge. You would like to shove me and go. I will not budge. Then of course, you would like to shoot me and go. Yes, if something or somebody is really blocking your pursuit of happiness, you want them to disappear somehow, isn't it? Either with a gun or a magic wand, you want them to go, yes or no? Yes or no? Divorce or death, you want them to go, isn't it? If somebody is really blocking up your pursuit of happiness, do you want that person to vanish or no? Yes. Now, the essence of pursuing human consciousness is, first thing is to shift your life from being in pursuit of happiness to an expression of joyfulness. How can I be joyful? Have you met my mother-in-law? Did you see my neighbor? Did you meet my boss? I've seen all those people. Too many of them around me all the time. They're all there. But the way you're experiencing your life right now is 100% caused by you. They can only create outside situations, but your inner situation is 100% yours, isn't it? Right now you're sitting here. If you don't like what I am saying, you can sit here, joke about it and still enjoy it. This way or that way, both ways, you're free either to be pleasant or unpleasant, isn't it? Yes or no? That is true in every situation. It doesn't matter where, whether you're up on the peak or down in the dumps, still what's happening within you is 100% yours. If you take charge of this, then you keep yourself blissful. Now your life becomes an expression of this blissfulness. There is substantial medical and scientific evidence that when you are feeling very pleasant, when you're joyful and blissful, your body and your mind function at its best. Success in the world is essentially determined by how well you can harness this physical body and the prowess of the mind. How successful you are in any sphere of life is essentially determined by this. Most of the time, you don't need an enemy. Self-help is doing great. A lot of people have read self-help books, how to screw up my life. Yes, they can write, they don't need anybody's help. The book also they can write, because they're experts. I want you to just look back and see, how many of you have at least had one 24-hour segment in your life? One single day, where full 24 hours, every moment of it went blissfully, not a moment of anxiety, agitation, irritation, anger, frustration, nothing, simply blissfully 24 hours. Very few people on the whole planet can raise their hands to this. You need to understand this. If one day did not happen the way you wanted, understandable. If not even one day happened the way you wanted, something fundamentally wrong, it's time to look at it, isn't it? Yes? It is time to pay close attention to this life. Why is it happening the way it's happening? Without taking charge of the mechanics of how life is happening within you, you're trying to somehow blunder through the world. If 10 people clap their hands, you're too happy. But that never even lasts for 24 hours at a stretch, isn't it? Yes or no? Other people's recognition, other people's expression of love, other people's gifts, other people's whatever, doesn't even last for 24 hours at a stretch. You went out today, somebody told you, oh, you are the most wonderful person on this planet. And you were floating on cloud, what number? Oh, you do only 9. In South India, we do 11. Whatever number cloud you were floating, and you came home and people at home told you who you really are. It just crashes, isn't it? Highest levels of happiness, have you seen how it crashes just like that? Because what is happening within you, you're trying to cause it with external stimuli all the time. It is time you take charge of this. What you want to do in your life is up to you. This much every human being deserves, that at least your experience of life upon this planet is pleasant. Whether you climb Mount Everest or not, whether you're going to become the richest man in the world or not, at least this much every human being deserves, that your experience of life is pleasant and wonderful, no matter what the hell is happening around you. Yes or no? And this is doable because here there is only one ingredient, that's you. You want to create pleasantness in your happiness, in your home, we don't know. 3, 4 people are there, whether they're going to cooperate or not. If you want to create pleasantness in your city, there are too many people, we don't know whether they'll cooperate or not. If you want to create pleasantness in the world, you know. Nobody in this world happens 100% the way you want them. Did your parents happen 100% the way you want them? Did they? The children can say, it's okay. Did your friends happen 100% the way you want them? Did your spouse or partners happen 100% the way you want them? Not even your dog. These days they do their own things. Nobody happens 100% the way you want them, but that is not the problem. The problem is this one. This one is not happening the way you want him to be. That is the problem, isn't it? If this one happened 100% the way you want him, life around you, whichever way it happens, it's either a breeze or an adventure. Yes? It is either a gentle, the fragrance of the jasmine on a gentle breeze, or it's an adventure. There is no unpleasantness. Unpleasantness is happening from within you, never from outside of you. No, you don't know how unpleasant my boss is. No, he only causes, at the most, if he's causing unpleasantness around you. He cannot cause unpleasantness within you, isn't it? This is your work. This is completely your work, isn't it? Why would anybody cause unpleasantness to himself? Simply because we have chosen to live unconsciously, just as a compulsive reaction to everything that's happening around us. For solutions, we are looking into books, we are looking into all kinds of things. We are always looking elsewhere, never inward. This happened. We are from Tennessee. In Tennessee, every family with some kind of tradition has their own leather-bound, large-sized Bible of their own. They're very proud of this. It's so large, you can barely open it, at least children cannot. One day a boy, 12 years of age, who was studying in a boarding school elsewhere, came home and he found this huge book sitting there and he opened it. A few pages he opened, a leaf which had been there in the book for a long time, it was dry, it flew out and fell down. Then he called out loudly, "Mama, come and see what I found." She said, "What is it that you have found?" "Mama, come and see, please come and see what I have found." She said, "Come, tell me, what have you found?" He said, "I think I found Adam's underwear." What is written there and how you perceive it is you, even now. Even now, how you experience every situation is you. What is happening around you and how you experience is essentially you. What is written there and what you make out of it is essentially you. Just see, in the name of caste, creed, religion, race, nationalities, how much of a mess we have created on the planet. I'm sure every one of these things initially started with the greatest intention of human well-being, definitely. But just see what a mess we are. Simply because you can find an Adam's underwear in a book, you don't know what you will pick up. So, there is a way where there is no room for misinterpretation. That way is to turn inward, not to seek solutions outward. For outward things, you can seek outward solutions. For inner things, you seek inner solutions. Turning inward, what does it mean? Right now, as I earlier mentioned, the only way you can perceive is through five sense organs: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. All these things are essentially outward bound. See, you can see what's around you. You cannot roll your eyeballs inward and scan yourself. You can hear this, but so much activity in this body, you cannot hear that. If an ant crawls upon this hand, you can feel it. So much blood flowing, you cannot feel it. In the very nature of things, sense organs are outward bound, but everything that you experience is happening from within. This is the fundamental human predicament. Only if you turn inward, then you are into what you're referring to as India studies. Otherwise, India is a glorious chaos. Lot of Indians miss it. Too much order in America. Once in a way they have to go out and get lost and have a diarrhea at least. Yes or no? If not enlightenment, at least a diarrhea. You must eat the street food and something must happen. No, it need not be like that. It is just that it's very organic. It is always depending upon touching the inner genius within every human being. It is not depending upon the organization of the outside, which can be very chaotic. For a person who's been born and brought up in Western societies, India could be bewildering and scary. But you will see, Indian people are so much at home with the chaos because it's so organic. Everything is happening because of the human being. If one human being stops being human for a moment, everything collapses. So you can't afford to be mechanical about your life. You have to be conscious, otherwise you cannot manage even simple things in home. Initially, this was created consciously. Over a period of time, other things have happened, unfortunately. Now, this whole process of looking inward, what does it mean? Can I tell you my own story? It's okay with you? You're becoming very serious, it scares me. Shankaran Pillai came to United States. He had an international driving license. So he decided to take his car, his son-in-law's car, out for a spin. He's a good driver. If you have driven in India, you better be a good driver, otherwise you're a dead driver. So, very confidently he was driving. Then his wife called up on the phone and said, "Are you on I-75?" He said, "Yeah." "Just watch out, the traffic news is saying there is a man driving at full speed in the opposite direction." He said, "What the hell, one man, hundreds of people are driving in the opposite direction." But he's very comfortable. So what does turning inward mean? This happened to me when I was just 3-4 years of age. Suddenly one day I realized, I don't know anything. I don't know anything means I don't know anything at all. If they give me a glass of water, I do not know what is water. When I say I do not know what is water, I know how to use it. I know if I drink it, it'll quench my thirst and so many other ways of using it. But I do not know what is water. Do you know what is water even today? With all this scientific exploration, you must understand, we have not understood a single atom in its entirety. We know how to use them, but we do not know what it is. even today. It is the only thing available in all the three states on the planet. 2/3 of the world, the planet itself is water, 2/3 of your body is water. If you want to look for life, you look for water. A drop of water means you think life is possible. It's the very basis of your existence on this planet. But you do not know what it is. So they give me a glass of water, I keep staring at this for 3-4 hours at a stretch. If I find a leaf, I will stare at it 5-6 hours. I sit up in my bed, staring at the darkness for the whole night. My dear father, being a physician, started thinking I need psychiatric evaluation. This boy is just staring at something or the other, unblinking for hours on end, he's lost it. My problem is, I look at this, I do not know what is this, how to shift my attention to something else, I'm just stuck to it, paying attention to it. In this condition, they sent me to school. I went to school and my mother told me, you must pay attention to the teacher. I went and paid attention. The kind of attention they would have never received in their life. Initially, I understood the words that they were speaking. After some time, I realized they're only making sounds. I'm the one who's making up the meanings in my head. Even now, see, I'm only making sounds. Because you presume you know English language, you're making up the meanings. A language is a conspiracy between two people. Yes? Suppose I start talking in a language that you do not understand, it will be just sounds. Even now I'm only making sounds, you're making up the meanings. And there is a code book for this conspiracy called a dictionary. So I realized I'm making up all the meanings in my head and I stopped making up the meanings. Just the sounds. These teachers come and keep on making sounds. The problem with most people is, the moment they cannot understand, they will not pay any attention. Please especially things that you do not understand, you must pay attention, isn't it? Yes or no? What you do not understand definitely needs your attention. But generally the thing is, the moment you cannot understand, you don't pay attention. Turn on the Chinese channel, just listen carefully, with full attention. You will see things will happen to you. So I just paid attention, not attaching any meanings to the sounds they were making. After some time, it became so amusing, these people going on making noises. A big smile spread on my face. They were not amused at all. I was very consistent with my education. Every monthly test, consistently I got 6 zeros. Because I gave it empty. Because I was made like this, I come home in the evening study hours are 2 hours in the evening, you must study in the house. If I open the book, I stay like this, without reading a single word for the next 2 hours, I will be just like this. All I need is just a dot on the paper, just a tiny speck on the paper. If I put my attention to it, the damn speck will take me somewhere. I won't read a single word, nor will I look around, nor will I do anything, simply. After 2 hours, I'll be in the same speck, unmoving from that. So my attention is like this, I'm paying attention to the teachers. So, I clearly remember this. When every month they give this report card, I don't know if you still have it. You still have that method of report cards? When the report card comes, some children will be strutting around, they are first, second, whatever. Some will be crying, they're terrified to go home because they got something. In my whole school days, all those 12 years, I never opened my report card. The teachers gave it to me, I took it and gave it to my dad. I thought this is a transaction between the two of them. I never wanted to, peep into that. And I never was retained in any class, I always went on. About 4 years ago, this school where I studied over 4 decades ago, they came to invite me for their 125th anniversary of the school. They were inviting all the prominent alumni. They came to invite me. I said, see, please, why me? I was not just a not good student, I was not even a student. Don't take me back to the school. They said, no, our school has produced federal ministers, our school has produced film stars, our school has produced cricketing stars. You are the only mystic, you have to come. I said, okay. And I stood up to speak in this quadrangle, the same oppressive buildings. I just looked like this, I suddenly saw this classroom and this whole situation came back to me. I was about 12 years of age. As usual, I am paying absolute attention to the teachers. I know the teachers past, present and future, but I don't hear a word of what they're talking. So that particular afternoon, this teacher is trying to get some response from me. But these are times when for 3, 4, 5 days, I wouldn't utter a single word. Because when you don't know anything, what do you say? What is there to say? You know nothing. If you look at a leaf, you don't understand that in entirety. If you look at anything, you don't understand in its fullness. So, there's nothing to say. He tried 35, 40 minutes trying to get some response. Nothing came out of me, I was paying full attention to him. He came, held me by the shoulder, shook me violently and said, you must either be the divine or the devil. I think you are the latter. Till now, till that moment, my problem was, what is this, what is that, what is that, what is that? But there was one clarity that this is me. Suddenly this man confused me about this also. I looked, well, am I devil, am I divine, what the hell am I? This was very clear that this was me, but this man brought this confusion about this also. I tried to stare at myself, it didn't work, so I closed my eyes and sat. Initially hours, then it went into days. Once I closed my eyes and sat, I thought, in my experience, I felt it's about 25, 30 minutes. When I opened my eyes, a whole crowd of people around me, garlands around my neck, people are trying to pull my feet, you know, pulling legs is a part of Indian tradition. And somebody wants to know about his business, somebody wants to know when his daughters will get married. I said, how the hell did these people manifest here? Where did they come from? Big crowd. They said, you've been sitting here for 13 days. In my experience, I just sat there for 25, 30 minutes. I closed my eyes and I opened my eyes, a big crowd. Why I'm telling you this is, life is in many more ways than the way you understand and experience life through the 5 senses. The 5 sense organs are enough for your survival. If you want to just survive, these 5 things are fine. But if you want to know life, these 5 sense organs are not good enough because this gives you only a comparative perspective of everything. What you know by comparison, see, you know light only because you know darkness, isn't it? The nature of sense organs is such, if you see this part of my hand, you cannot see the other part of my hand. Even if you take a grain of sand, if you see one part, you can't see the other part. If you're experiencing light, you cannot experience the darkness. This is the nature of sense organs, and everything is in comparison. For example, let's say you're 6 feet tall. Now, you stand like a tall man, you walk like a tall man, you think like a tall man, you feel like a tall man, and you are a tall man. Suppose you went to another society where everybody is 8 feet tall. Now, you stand like a short man, walk like a short man, think like a short man, feel like a short man, and you are a short man. So what you know in comparison is only useful for survival in a particular situation. It is not a way of knowing life. There are other dimensions of perception which a human being has to activate. You need to understand what is needed for survival. Became active. The moment you came out of your mother's womb, all these things became active. You need to understand, they were not active when you were in your mother's womb. Otherwise, you would know the whole human physiology. You didn't have to go to your medical school, you know. Your eyes were not open, your perception was not open. Only after you came out, it opened up, because without it, you cannot survive. If survival is all you're seeking, this is fine. But once you come as human, somehow survival is not good enough, isn't it? When survival is in question, it's a big issue. Once it's taken care of, it doesn't mean anything. Isn't it so? There is something within you, always longing for something more. Whoever you may be right now, whatever you may be right now, you want to be something more than who you are right now? Yes or no? If that something more happens, what? What? You want something more? If that something more happens, what something more? It looks like you're looking for expansion. Okay, we will make you the king or queen of this planet. Now, don't look at me hopefully. You think I'll make such a blunder? Suppose you become the king or queen of this planet, will you be fulfilled, I'm asking you? You will look at the stars, isn't it? So there is something within you which wants to expand. I'm asking how much expansion would settle you for good? How much expansion would settle you for good? Hello? Unlimited. You're looking for infinite expansion, a fantastic desire, but a hopeless method. Your longing to become boundless is wonderful. See, there is something within you which does not like boundaries. Suppose I imprison you in a 5x5 cubicle right now, you will feel horribly imprisoned. Tomorrow, we will liberate you into a 10x10 cubicle. You will feel wonderful for a day, and again the same thing. Then we will liberate you into a 100x100 cubicle. You will feel wonderful for 3 days, and again the same thing. It doesn't matter where I set the boundary. The moment you can feel the boundary, you want to break it. Yes? There is something within you which does not like boundaries. There is something within you constantly longing to become boundless. You may be trying to settle this either unconsciously or consciously. If you're trying to settle it unconsciously, you think going out shopping will settle it. It does for a moment, again tomorrow the same thing. Or reading a book will settle it, or conquering something will settle it. All these things settles you for some time, and again the same thing. The moment you can feel the boundary, again it's a problem, isn't it? There is something within you longing to become boundless. You need to understand this. Boundaries are essentially the nature of the physical. The physical exists in this universe, the physical exists in creation only because of defined boundaries. I can call this a physical body only because there is a defined boundary. If I take away the boundaries of this body, could you call this physical? If it is all over the place, would it be physical? Only because it stays within a defined boundary, it's physical. So boundary is the nature of physical existence. There is something within you longing to go beyond all boundaries. So if you touch a dimension within you, which is not physical in nature, only then this will settle. Is there such a thing? Well, let's understand this. When you were born, your body was only this much, now it's become this much. How did it happen? What? How did it happen? The food that you've eaten, isn't it? The food that you've eaten. So what you call as my body is a heap of food, actually, or it's a piece of this planet. Physical is something that you gathered over a period of time, yes? Physical is an accumulation. What you accumulate, at the most, you can claim it is mine. It cannot be you, isn't it? It can be yours, it can never ever be you. It can be mine, it can never ever be me, isn't it? What you gather can belong to you, cannot become you. But right now, you are so identified with things that you have gathered, not only in the body, in the mind. Your mind is a heap of impressions that you have gathered. Your mind is a gathering, your body is a gathering. Both are accumulations. Between these two things, where are you? A dimension beyond the physical, which is the basis of all this. If you eat a piece of bread, it transforms it into such a fantastic machine that we call as human mechanism. This human body is the most sophisticated technology on the planet. Do you agree with me? Yes. The iPhone users, I'm asking you. Because I see you so deeply engrossed in it, you seem to think it's more than the eye. Now, this is the highest level of technology found on the planet. Everything else is a small imitation of this, isn't it? And with what are you manufacturing this? With a piece of bread, with a carrot, with an apple, with whatever you eat. Just about anything that you eat, even if you eat the so-called junk food, even that is becoming wonderful technology. So there is an intelligence here, there is a competence here, which is capable of transforming a piece of bread into such a highly sophisticated machine. If only if you had access to this intelligence consciously, you would live your life magically, not miserably for sure. So how often do you touch this? Every human being touches it at some moment in his life. If you can consciously touch it, definitely you would stay in touch with it, isn't it? If you accidentally touch it, then it happens accidentally. Most beautiful moments in people's lives, unfortunately, are generally accidental. People come and tell me, Sadhguru, I met such a wonderful person. I say, stop. Why are you not that wonderful person? Why is it that you're meeting such wonderful people? If you are feeling absolutely wonderful, anything that you look at looks wonderful, isn't it? Yes or no? Have you noticed this? When you're happy, you appreciate everything. When you're miserable, everything is… the whole creation is a rubbish. Yes or no? So this possibility is not in the Himalayan cave. This possibility is not geographically located in India. This possibility is here with every one of us. Whether we turn inward or we squander our life outward, that's all the choice you have. Because the experience of life, the quality of your life is right now determined not by what kind of clothes you wear, what kind of car you parked outside, what kind of home you live in. This moment, what is the nature of your experience? Is it immensely pleasant or unpleasant or seesawing between the two? That determines the quality of your life. If you have any questions, is that allowed? I'm sorry. Are there questions or… I think I've stopped right on time. Please. Please take the microphone.
Sadhguru, thank you for being here again in Atlanta. It's a pleasure. Back then, just by accident, I ran into one of your inner engineering programs when it was in a small scale. And it really touched me in a way that it transformed my life and made this trip from far away from Argentina worthwhile. And I would love for everybody to have that experience, even if it's a single moment. My question to you is so wonderful, everything that comes from you, and yet, how not to miss the immensity of what is being offered. Thank you.
See, the biggest mistake that the larger part of humanity has made is, they think all the great things are up there somewhere. When actually, you're not even capable of knowing which is up and down. You know the planet is round? Yes? You're sitting on a round planet, not even on the North Pole. You're Argentina. Being in the southern hemisphere, you should have fallen off long time ago. At least we got a foothold up here. And the damn thing is spinning on top of it. So, if you look up, you're invariably looking up in the wrong direction. Yes or no? Are you capable of knowing in this cosmos which is up and which is down? Is it somewhere marked this side up? Are you capable of knowing? I'm asking you. You're incapable of knowing what is up and down. No such thing exists. For convenience, we will make this up, we'll make this down, for understanding between you and me. But in reality, you really do not know which is up and down, which is forward and backward, which is east and which is west. We've made up all these things. Yes or no? Only for communication and understanding between us. It is not a reality. So, great things are not up there. If you want to do fantastic things to yourself, you don't have to do some feat, simple things. You just have to learn how to sit, first of all. Sitting is not a simple thing. You have to learn how to breathe, how to hold this body, because as I said, this is the most sophisticated machine on the planet. Every little thing that you do, it does its own things. We can do a little… Shall we do a little experiment with you? After all, it's a university, we can experiment with you. Just do one thing. Take these two hands, keep all the 5 fingers together, place it facing down upon your lap, upon your thigh. All the 5 fingers should be together, all 5. Don't do it yet, just watch me. You will do this with eyes closed, just breathing slightly deeper than normal. Just as your normal breath, slightly deeper, slightly exaggerated so that you will notice it. And as you're doing it, I will say switch. When I say switch, without breaking the rhythm of your breathing, just turn this over this way. Continue to breathe. When I say switch again, get back here. In these two positions of the hand, something about your breath will change. You must notice how the air fills up into your lung, or where is the maximum expansion and contraction. Just notice this. Something about your breath will change and you must tell me what changed, okay? For you to notice this, for you to be able to notice this, one thing is your spine should be erect. That's not possible if you've been trained to sit on the American cushions. You can only sit like this. I like this chair. I think the chapel is making sure everybody's awake here. And your spine should be erect, your eyes should be closed, your mind should be focused on the breath. If you do these 3 things, you will distinctly notice this. All 5 fingers together, close your eyes, breathe slightly deeper than normal and notice where the maximum expansion and contraction is. Switch. Switch again. Please open your eyes. There's some difference between the two. Can somebody tell me, when it's this way, where is it? This way? Just the reverse is happening. When you hold it this way, the maximum expansion and contraction is happening in the lower lobe of the lung. So you will notice it in the diaphragm region. If you turn it around, it moves into the middle lobe of the lung, so you will notice higher up in the chest. Just do one breath and see it is noticeable. Is it so? So just turning your hand over, the very way you breathe is altering itself. It's not just about the breath, the very way the fundamental life energies are functioning is altering itself simply because you turn your hand over. How many times in a day, unconsciously, are you doing this? Whatever anybody asks. In India, this means no. No, 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 no. Now you're setting your energies into turmoil and hoping to be peaceful. Life doesn't work like that. Unless you do the right things will not happen to you. Now, what is being referred to as inner engineering or what is largely known as yoga? When I use the word yoga, I hesitate and avoid using this word in United States because yoga means they think something Zumba and some gymnastic stuff. Like we get… in India we get all your B grade and C grade movies. Just like that, you get some things like that from India. Now, one dimension of yoga is like, if you remember in 60s and 70s when the television came first, on top of your home there would be an aluminum contraption. Now it's become much more sophisticated, otherwise there would be aluminum tubes hanging like this. You're just watching your favorite program, suddenly your television goes boop, boop, boop. Then you run up on the terrace and pull it like this, it won't work, pull it like that, it won't work. You get it there properly. Suddenly the whole world pours into your sitting room. This is called an antenna. This… you are who you are. You know that you exist only because you perceive. Yes or no? Say, suppose you're sitting here and you fell asleep. For sure, I will disappear. I'm the first one. If you go a little more like that, everybody will disappear. If you really get hung, even you disappear. In your experience, the existence is obliterated, isn't it? You need to understand, you even know that you exist only because you're perceiving. So what you perceive is what you have become. There's also other nuances to that, how you perceived, what you made out of it, but essentially, what you perceived is what you have become. If your perception is gone, it's gone. Your life is gone, isn't it? Now, perception, how to enhance the perception should be the only goal, because if you enhance your perception, your life will enhance itself. How profoundly do you perceive this life? So, this system is a phenomenal thing. If you learn to sit right, if you just adjust it right, now you can download the whole cosmos into this. You've heard of the concept called the third eye. Why the third eye is so important is, these two eyes are sense perceptions. Almost 30 to 35% of your vision is by memory. Do you know this? If you had no memory, you would not be able to see a lot of things. These two eyes have past hanging in them. They're always blurred by the past. If you look at this, what looks nice, what doesn't look nice, what looks right, what doesn't look wrong, what looks wrong, what is okay, what is not okay, what is beautiful, what is not beautiful, everything is by memory. If your memory is taken away, these two eyes become half blind, at least one-third blind for sure. So in these two eyes, past is always hanging. That's why we say, you see something like this, okay, that's your karma. That's your doing, that's your memory bank which is doing this. A third eye is that which has not invested in memory, which is simply seeing things as they are. This doesn't mean you have to crack your forehead, okay? It is not a physical eye, it is not subject to the memory bank that you have gathered, simply seeing everything the way it is. Your ability to handle life well simply depends on how clearly you see it, isn't it? Yes or no? Right now, you cannot see anything clearly because 35% of the actual physical vision is dependent upon the memory that you have. But gathering strong prejudices, gathering strong emotional identifications, your ability to see is gone almost 90%. Not even 10% of life, people see the way it is, they see it the way they think it is. That means you're existing in a psychological reality, not in an existential reality. What that means is, you're just lost in your own creation, you have no contact with the Creator's creation. If you experience the creation the way it is the most phenomenal thing, there cannot be anything more. And it need not be anything more because if you spend 1,000,000 years, you still can't figure the sophistication and the intricacy of what it is. But people are bored. When you can't figure an atom in a lifetime, or 10 lifetimes you can't figure one atom, people are bored because they're lost in their own petty creation. They're existing in their own psychological creations, psychological existence, not in the real existence. Life is here. What's in your mind is madness, isn't it? It's time you step down into the Creator's creation. I'm saying step down because your creation is higher, of course. Otherwise, why would you dwell there? So it's time every human being dedicated a little bit of time towards this. It's being offered in Atlanta if you wish to take it. Otherwise, in your own home, if you want to do, there are tools being given out because of the generosity of a few people that these things are available, or it's available online to start with. But every human being should start the process of turning inward. Otherwise, when moment of death comes, all you will have is belief systems to hang on to. And everything that you believe, everything that you think matters to you right now will not matter to you if the next moment is death. And I'm sorry to remind you, but anyway you will die. It's not my wish. I'll bless you with a long life, but anyway you will die. Is it okay? You need to understand, this is the fundamental of turning inward, that you realize that you're mortal. You realize that you have come with an expiry date. You realize you're racing towards it. If you remind yourself of this, how can you not look at life more profoundly? How can you? Only because you think you're here forever, you can forget about it. It doesn't matter what you think. You think you come to the talk, you think you're going to go home, you think you're going to this place or that place. But as far as your body is concerned, it is walking straight to the grave. Yes or no? You think so many things, this is all your nonsense. But the reality is your body is walking straight to the grave, not missing a step. Yes or no? We'll bless you with a long life. But if you understand and if you're constantly conscious that I'm mortal, there is no way you cannot look at deeper dimensions of life. You naturally will. Thank you very much for being here.